Tim Sweeney has appeared on another podcast, Lex Friedman's, where Tim Sweeney takes a slight dig at people who don't like the metaverse.
The metaverse is an idea whose stock price goes up and down depending on who says what on what day. Some have an ability to drive it way down by opening their mouths.
Tim Sweeney seems actually very put out by this and is very sarcastic about the public perception of Epic Games' metaverse. I mean, it seems like almost every day that another Fortnite commentary channel is releasing a Fortnite video about the metaverse's apparent downfall. And personally, the metaverse does have a lot to answer for. From Rocket Racing, Battle Stage, Brick Life to Ballistic, there's been some strange updates, and most of these games appear slightly unfinished. I still believe there's a lot of potential in these games, but they are very undercooked. I think people are rightfully concerned. Of course, we have that apparent Disney mode that is meant to be coming out at some point, and we are about to have that big Fortnite X Star Wars season. I think some may feel a little smothered by this metaverse concept. With the upcoming Star Wars and Fortnite season, we also have this. Just about anything is possible in Fortnite. You can be among the first to view the first 2 episodes of Star Wars Tales of the Underworld before it premieres on Disney Plus by going to the Star Wars Watch Party Island. Fortnite is truly trying to make this space a place where people can hang.
Multiplayer social gaming experiences. You and your friends getting together in a 3D world and having fun together in any way you want. If you're playing Fortnite Battle Royale, in my view, that is capturing the essence of the metaverse. And it's especially in Fortnite, when we got Sony on board so that all players on all platforms in Fortnite could play together, could voice chat together, and could be part of a single game experience. It really took on a new nature, which was...
I think people forget how Epic completely changed the gaming landscape with cross-platform play. Sony did not want that. As you know, many companies are exploring this idea, and not a single one can explain how cross-console play improves for PlayStation business. The Apple versus Epic lawsuit actually revealed that Sony has a cross-platform revenue share, and they're the only company that has this. Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney confirmed in a testimony today that Sony is the only platform holder that requires this compensation for cross-play. In certain circumstances, Epic will have to pay additional revenue to Sony, said Sweeney. If somebody were primarily playing on the PlayStation but playing on an iPhone, then this might trigger compensation. Sweeney also revealed that Epic had to agree to pay these additional fees to Sony in order to enable crossplay on Fortnite. So how social can the Fortnite metaverse be? Well, it seems like Tim Sweeney has some pretty big dreams. But before that, no, he had some very interesting insight about how a season comes together, and sometimes you can't see a problem until it starts to come all together, and then you're up against the clock.
You're not allowed misses?
We certainly do. Everybody's often working very much to the last minute to make something excellent, and it's really hard with these fast delivery time frames because you really have to get a lot of stuff up and running before you can judge a new Fortnite season holistically. It's not until the last month or so that you really know what you've built and you really understand it. And if any late breaking problems emerge in balance or anything else, it's usually towards the end, and that usually leads to a rapid push to fix it. And then other lessons you can only learn live, from experience. And that means accepting a game that it's a live experience, and it's also an experiment, and it's going to continually be improving. And at any time, there's some things that some people don't like, and you learn from it, and you improve it, and you move on.
People may call me a kiss-ass, but I will always say when I do my first review of the season, I will say my issues with the game, but I will give Epic grace. I will give them time to balance the game, but then someone will come into the comment section and say something along the lines of, yeah, but they tested the game, they should have known that this would happen. I'm like, their test pool might be very small, a few hundred players, and now millions are playing it, guys. And sometimes you won't see that until the game's live. Of course, that point goes back to the metaverse modes that I mentioned earlier. You don't see a problem, and sometimes you have to work on the fly. You have to release this game at a certain point so the community, the developers, and the game can grow. Now, Tim Sweeney goes deeper into how social Fortnite can actually be, and the scaling unfathomable, guys.
Not only you building a Fortnite island, but you building modules or components that can be used by millions of other programmers and coexist in a huge environment, and also can scale up to a huge scale simulation. Some games will be small. Battle Royale might find that, the 100 players is actually optimal. It might be the 1,000 player version of Battle Royale would be worse, but I bet there are.
Oh my god, he's seen my Discord video from 5 years ago.
That's my problem.
I may have predicted the video. I may have predicted the future of this video. Oh no.
1,000, million, and tens of million player experiences. They're even better than that will yet to be discovered. And so,
And that was my reaction to when I heard that. 10 million, 15 million player experience. And get out the comment section, because you're about to write, well, we've had live events, Jamie, with 15 million concurrent players. No, that is not what he's saying. Because what he is saying, wowzers.
Wait a minute. Tens of millions of players together.
sure, we've had Fortnite events that have attracted 15 million concurrent users, but the fact that they're all divided up into servers with 100 players each for those events isn't really a positive. It's just a limitation of the technology. Trace.
Yes. To have that many players, one space. I actually don't know what the most people in one space is on the internet. I guess it's like... So yeah, I think the most players on the server at one time is like... I can't think. It's like 1,000, I think. But not for Fortnite.
Tracing back to Unreal Engine 1 and its single-threading decisions. If we could build a concert where all of the concert participants, potentially tens of millions of them, could participate together simultaneously and see that there's that massive a crowd and they could all do interesting things and interact with each other, that would be way cooler.
If we just...
That would be way cooler, but completely, currently unfathomable. And I would say completely unrealistic, because they're struggling with memory capacity in creator-made experiences. It's still capped at 100,000, is it not? And people trying to make really good events seem to always struggle with keeping memory. I think there's also like an active memory, so it can be a lot lower in some regards or something. I've seen... Look, I'm not a developer. I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's very tight down there for map creators. But in his podcast, Tim Sweeney talks about how Fortnite could have simply died in its very early days if it wasn't for a team that was working on scaling up the servers. And that seems a decision that so easy could have been missed in them early days. Like, oh, we don't need this for this game. It's not going to blow up that quickly. Crazy.
Being able to support with Battle Royale a huge number of people playing with each other at the same exact time. Like, what's the technical... 4 weeks, what's the technical challenges there that had to be overcome?
Since 2012, we've been building online backend systems to support player accounts and login, and all of the different systems that are needed to make a multiplayer game. And we've been building them to be scalable. And by some miracle, we built them stably enough that they were able to scale up. And so the online team who was responsible for patching that code spent a year of intense work getting it to scale from like 40,000 concurrent users to 15 million concurrent users.
Yeah, I mean, they're scaling. That's a lot.
It's immense, but they'd done such an awesome job of building the foundations that it was tractable. It was doable. if they hadn't done that, then the company would have died. Fortnite just wouldn't have been playable, and the whole thing would have failed.
So it is a little difficult to try and work out the timescale. What he's saying here. 2012, was it a year from 2012 or was it a year before Fortnite came onto the scene? But even so, to scale from 40,000 concurrent players to 15 million, like he said it, if that decision was not made, Fortnite would have been dead early doors. Servers would have lagged to hell, no one would have played the game, people would have got frustrated, and it would have died on its face. I'll be playing Call of Duty now. So Tim Sweeney does talk about the Fortnite economy, and I mean, we've heard most of it before, but I don't think we've heard this. So he talks about creator payouts, of course, but then he talks about the stats we don't see, and that how players spend money after playing certain experiences. And oh my god, it's rather interesting.
Some Fortnite experiences lead to or correlate with higher spending than others. Battle Royale is relatively strong in that area because you see your character from behind and see all of your other characters from the front, and you have lots of opportunities to really see who you are and to emote and to interact with other players. And a lot of games have that characteristic. One funny anomaly stood out. There was this game that was one of the big breakthroughs in Fortnite, Only Up.
Mhm.
It's a game where you're just climbing up.
I mean, claiming it as a Fortnite is... moving on.
And up by following paths of stacks of objects and things. It was just stupid fun. Everybody loved.
Okay.
But we found people weren't spending a lot of money on outfits when they were playing Only Up, and it's kind of intuitive actually. Like, you're not seeing other players. Like, if you see anything, like you're seeing their butt as you're like trying to catch up to them, jumping from object to object, and they're above you. And so it wasn't a mode that showed off outfits very much, but you could. You can determine the economic correlation between a game mode and spending.
That's so fascinating. I mean,
It's kind of crazy that Fortnite would say, I guess it's a business, and they want to see where people are spending money and what creative experiences are spending more money. I guess fashion show creative experience would probably spend more money than a Only Up game mode, or of course a mode that is more catered for actual cosmetics. But we are in a week where I believe Royale Reload, or whatever that thing was called, who did the OG game mode, announced they're stopping development of that OG game mode now. And that's because of Fortnite literally creating the Fortnite OG game mode. And you have to be careful as a map creator. I said this in a video, my UEFN conspiracy video. I said that if there is a game mode doing well, Fortnite will want to they'll be watching you. If it's really good, they'd be wanting to create their own mode. So OG, and they made their own G, but they could have been doing that before. But when I gave creators UEFN before it came out, they must have known that some of them were creating an OG experience. So anyway, once that happened, boom. Creators are saying they're not giving a lot of options for Lego. Creators said they wanted to create something like Brick Life, and then they came out with Brick Life, and they said, but they don't have the tools. They don't give us creators the tools to be able to create something like that. So what's happening here, Fortnite? So I'll be just a little wary if I'm a map creator myself, because Fortnite will want to step in if they think that you're doing well. So that's the important things I picked up from this podcast. Of course, if you found anything informative, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you want to talk about anything, comment down below, and I'll be sure to get back to you about this podcast. And yeah, until next time, it has been your boy, Mr. J.R. White. Next time, bye-bye.